All right, now we're going to look at angle relationships involving algebra. So here we're going to solve for the variable x, and we have angles 58 and 5x minus 2. Now if I look at these two angles, they are on the same side, and they're both on top of the parallel lines. One is on top of line L, and one is on top of line M, and that means that they are corresponding angles. All right, remember that corresponding angles are congruent. So if I was solving for x, I'm going to say 5x minus 2. And because it's congruent, which means equals, I'm going to say it equals 58. And then I'm going to solve this equation. So I add 2 to both sides. And I get 5x equals 60. I divide by 5. And x is equal to 12. All right, number 2, we have 16x plus 22, and we have 134. So these are on opposite sides, which means they're alternate, and they are on the outside of the parallel lines. So our angle relationship here is that they are alternate exterior. Alternate exterior angles are also congruent. So I'm going to say 16x plus 22 equals 134. And I subtract 22 from both sides. So that's going to give us 16x equals 112. And then I divide by 16. And we get that x is equal to 7. For our next example, we have 7x minus 1, and that's this angle here where the arrow is pointing, and 125. So these are also on opposite sides of the transversal, and they are inside the parallel lines. So these are alternate interior angles. Right? We know that alternate interior angles are also congruent. So 7x minus 1 equals 125. I'm going to add 1. 7x equals 126. And I divide by 7. And I get that x is equal to 18. All right, for our next example, we have 9x plus 2 and 133. And these are on the same side, and they're inside the parallel lines, so they are same side interior angles. All right, remember that same side interior angles are supplementary, which means they're 180 degrees. So I'm going to say 9x plus 2 plus 133 equals 180. So 9x plus 135 equals 180. Subtract 135. We're left with 45 equals 9x. I divide by 9, and I get x equals 5. Now, if you were asked to plug this in here and find the measurement of all the angles, 9 times 5 is 45 plus 2 is 47. So this angle would be 47, which means that this one's 47, and this one's 47, and this one's 47. And this is an easy way for you to check that you did it correctly. And these bigger ones are 133. So these two would create your half a circle, supplementary angle. And then these two would create another half circle. So together, all of those 4 angles should add up to 360 degrees. Easy way for you to check that you did it correctly. All right, for our next example, we have 8x minus 77 and 3x plus 38. So these are on opposite sides, and they're on the outside of the parallel lines, so they are alternate exterior angles. Right, alternate exterior angles are congruent, so I'm going to say 8x minus 77 equals 3x plus 38. And remember, when I have variables on both sides, I want to cancel one of them out so that I get the variable on one side. So I'm going to subtract 3x here to cancel that out, and then I subtract 3x on this side. So that'll give me 5x minus 77 equals 38. Then I'm going to add 77 to both sides. And 38 plus 77 gives us 115 equals 5x. And then I divide by 5, and I should get x equals 23. All right, so if I plug this back in, I should get the same thing on both sides. So 8 times 23 minus 77. So 8 times 23 is going to give us 184 minus 77 gives us 107. And then I should get the same thing here when I plug it in. So 3 times 23 plus 38. So 3 times 23 is going to give us 69 plus 38 gives us 107. So I get the same thing on both sides because they are congruent. All right, go ahead and try the next 3 problems on your own and then press play to see if you get the correct answers. All right, so for number 6, you should have gotten x equals 9. And then I went ahead and plugged it back in so that you could see that you get the same thing. So you would get 52 degrees for each angle measurement. All right, for number 7, they are alternate interior angles and they are congruent to each other. So when you set up your equation, you should get x equals 12 for your answer. And then again, I plugged it back in, so you would get 135 for each one of these angle measurements. All right, and for number 8, we have same side exterior angles, and they are supplementary. So again, just by looking at these angles, you should be able to tell that they're not equal. So this top one is an obtuse angle, and this bottom one is an acute angle. So these are going to be supplementary angles. So we're going to set it equal to 180, and when we solve our equation, we get x equals 15. And when I plug it back in for this top obtuse angle, I get 102 degrees, and the bottom angle, I get 78 degrees.